Hello and welcome to another edition of the Pitt Post-Game Show from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We're your Pitt beat writers, Christopher Carter here with Noah Hiles. We're at the Peterson Event Center after the Pitt Panthers have taken down Florida State 88-73. The Panthers advanced to 20-10, 11-8 in conference play, the first time in a decade that Pitt has finished back-to-back seasons with 20 or more wins. Jeff Capel spoke about that. We'll get into a lot of the other aspects of this game with the good, bad, and ugly. As always, remind you this show is brought to you by Mike's Beer Bar, the best bar in Pittsburgh. When you go to Mike's Beer Bar, they have over 500 different available beers. 300 of those beers are local, and 80 of those local beers are available on tap. More on them later. Noah, this game, we'll get into like a lot of different aspects of it, but I was impressed by how when the flow of the game stopped for different reasons, Pitt found several different ways to respond to it positively.
Yeah, I mean, this had all the makings of a flop for Pitt in the early going, and we're gonna get into all of that later in the show. But yeah, I mean, I was sitting here in the beginning thinking, oh, this is not the time to be turning the ball over, to be taking dumb shots, to be out of a rhythm, and Jeff even pointed that out. He said the last two times they've won on a Saturday, they've gone and lost on a Tuesday. Now, granted, they were both on the road and they were both against probably tournament teams, which, this team is not. But still, I think being able to figure out was a good step. So we'll get into the good now. First off, my good is good to be back doing this with you.
Sir.
It's been a minute, right? Yeah. I mean, Abby Schnabel's been
holding it down.
Yeah, I was gonna say coming for our jobs. No, I'll start off by taking the easy one. Blake Hinson, good as always, and I'll just say, I mean, this is what we expected from Blake Hinson this year.
Yep.
We expected him to be the best player on the team, the best player on the court for a lot of games, and down this stretch, he has been lights out. I mean, Clemson, yeah, they eliminated him, and Wake Forest too. But I don't think this is a team that necessarily lives and dies by Hinson, but he got them going today with some big shots. And obviously, he hit 6 triples, new single-season record, passed up Ashton Gibbs. At 103 on the year, I'm wondering, does he get to 110 by the end of it? Do you think he can hit 7?
I think he hit 7.
7, that seems within reach. But, I mean,
That's just regular season, right?
Yes,
That's not ACC tournament.
Yeah.
I mean, we've seen him hit 7.
Yes, I mean multiple times. Yes, so, but yeah, I think that this is a guy who has played an all ACC caliber year, and he's been excellent, and he was great tonight, especially on the offensive end. Chris, who's your good?
My good is the other guy that I thought went off tonight, and that was Jalen Lowe. 7 of 12 from the field for 17 points, 10 assists, his first career double-double since joining Pitt. Really impressive showing in a lot of respects, not just for the pure numbers, but also the efficiency of it. I think Jeff pointed out he has 19 assists and just 3 turnovers in his last 2 games. That's an insane ratio, and it's a sign of just how good he's becoming, and also like the pace of how he's scoring. There's so many times where he's not dribbling around just to dribble around. Like if he's dribbling, it's to create something. It's part of a plan. There's other ball movement that's associated with it. And when he needs to attack, he is attacking. And he's not just attacking to get to the rim. He's attacking to make you over pursue to the rim. And then he just spins back, hits a nice little fadeaway or nice little standing shot. And those type of things are things that he's developed more consistently this year. Earlier in the season, Noah, he was being a guy who sometimes he had to take it to the rim. He needed to find his pace. Now he looks so comfortable. There's at least now 3 or 4 times a game where I feel like he drives and he has a move and the whole crowd goes, oh, because he just shakes his guy off, and you see the impact there. And his teammates are feeding off of it. He's brought great energy. Love what Jalen Lowe's doing.
Yeah, I mean, I circle him as the spark that really got the team going this year, and he just continues to get better. We'll get into the bad now. My bad, it involves Jalen a little bit. Just the backcourt in general. Turnovers early on were a problem. And I will say, granted, you play who you play. But when you play a better team than Florida State and you turn the ball over 5 times in the first 5 minutes, it's going to be a lot worse. And it's going to be a bigger challenge to get out of that hole. And the fact that they were only down, I believe 12-7 was their lowest or the biggest margin or biggest deficit that they faced this evening, and they're lucky because a lot of teams would make them pay in a lot greater ways. So yes, but the turnovers early on. But I mean, they finished with 10. So for the last 35 minutes, they committed the same amount of turnovers they did in the first 5 minutes. And as you told me before we recorded, I didn't note this myself, but I don't think they committed more than one turnover in the final 10 minutes. Final 13. So that's pretty good. They recovered. Obviously, you don't want to have to recover. You would just ideally like to maintain that pace for 40 minutes. What was your bad, Chris?
My bad. Federico, I thought, was kind of all over the place at times. There were some fouls that he took that were just kind of what was that? What was that? There were also times that he played better, where he had 2 blocks in the game. I saw him. I saw him. Have some plays where he also just put the ball on the floor a few too many times. But sometimes when he gets the ball, just needs to go to the rim. And to be clear, this wasn't a terrible game for Fetty. It wasn't like, it wasn't, because we've seen some bad games for Fetty. But my bad was just there were times I still feel like if he could just become more consistent when he gets the ball, when he's the open man. Like there was one play where Bub Carrington had him wide open in the paint. He didn't even throw it to him. And I think part of that is because sometimes Pitt's players or Pitt's guards might be thinking, well, Fetty's not going to be open right now or catch it, so I'm just going to find a different way to score. And again, Fetty had some really impressive moments here and there. He had 2 blocks. He was really strong there. But I look at that and I think, man, if I'm an opponent and I'm scouting Pitt, I am trying to force Federico to have to be a person who scores more often, because I don't think he's going to be able to consistently get it done.
Yeah, and just another issue I had with him, especially in the first half, him with the basketball in his hands is just, it continues to be a problem. And I was actually talking about this with my former basketball coach and teacher, stopped by to say hello during the game. My middle school coach, shout out Mr. Grove, proud Pitt alum. But he and I were talking about it, and I said, there's no reason for Federico to ever have the basketball below his waist. And there's times where it seems like, keep it up high. You're 6'11". It should be up there. When you bring it down low, it's bad for everyone in the paint. So it's you gotta fix that. We'll get into the ugly now. And my ugly is where my brain's at. Why is my brain ugly right now? Because it's like 12:15 in the morning. We're recording this.
This is your brain.
This
is your brain with a
9 p.m. tips have to stop on weekdays. Have to stop. We have to be at Pitt football in like 8 hours from now. So, listen, I get it. Like, we could be doing a lot of other jobs that are a lot more difficult. I'm not going to sit here and act like, doing manual labor or anything. I get it. We have a very fun job, but come on, ACC.
Give us a break.
Give the kids a break. Jalen Lowe's got class tomorrow. Think of him. I don't know. Yeah, 9 p.m. starts. And they lasted a lot longer, Chris. This game went on a lot longer than it needed to go.
I agree, and that's where my ugly is. My ugly is just the amount of whistles that were blown in this game that just kept stopping play over and over. Pitt got to the free throw line 18 times. Florida State got to the free throw line 31 times. Like, there were some that were legit. They were like, okay, because this game got testy early, and I understood in like the first few minutes, Bub Carrington and I forget the other player who got the technical, but there was a double technical issued. There was some testiness, and I understand when referees got to say, like, hey, we're gonna cut this out right now. We're gonna blow some whistles that, probably a little aggressive, but you better hear me out. But then when the game kind of settled down and like the two teams, they were being physical, but they weren't throwing punches or anything. Then the whistles kept coming, and they just kept coming. And there were times where like guys were just standing straight up, feet planted, and getting foul calls and I was just like, what's happening here? And it was both sides. There were times where I just like, why is that a foul? Why is it, even you and I were even sitting there in like the final 15 seconds, and Bub Carrington just puts up a shot at the end of the shot clock, and he gets a foul call, and it's like, why did we need that? We just want to go home.
He had to shoot.
He had to shoot.
Yeah. The shot clock was gonna die.
And
just let it end.
And just let it end. And like the foul call was called. I'm just like, my goodness. But point being, I think that was another point, and this is to wrap this up, bringing this back to why I think it was really good that Pitt scored the way that it did from Blake, from Jalen, from Bub, from all the guys that contributed. The foul trouble they got in this game would have sunk them earlier this season. You look at the overall fouls: Federico with 4, Bub with 4, Guillermo with 4. That's a lot of foul trouble. And some of those guys, they were in foul trouble very early in this game. And Pitt did not flinch. Pitt didn't break stride in its offense. It withstood some runs and it fought right back. This is a much more mature team than it was before, and I think that's a big credit to why Pitt's now back in the bubble discussion. And we'll see just how high up they climb the net soon.
Don't give this to me. I'm done talking. I'm off the clock, boss. I'm going to bed.
He's Noah Hiles. He's off the clock. I'm Chris Carter. Follow us at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette as he takes a nap here. We're just gonna go to sleep right here and then just drive over to UPMC Rooney Sports. Don't knock over the phone. Please. But we'll be back at UPMC Rooney Sports Complex at 9 a.m. sharp, covering Pitt football practice as spring football continues here. But to get all of that coverage, go to post-gazette.com. Find us there at the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette and listen to and watch all of our shows on your favorite podcasting apps and on YouTube. Like this video if you enjoyed. Subscribe to this channel for all that coverage. And again, you can find us also here because we are sponsored by Mike's Beer Bar, the best bar in all of Pittsburgh. Mike's Beer Bar offers over 500 different available beers. 300 of those beers are from the local area. 80 of those local beers are available on tap. You go there, they have over 20 TVs for you to enjoy whatever sporting event that you want. If you want to catch all the March Madness that's coming, they're going to have a lot of chances for you to do that with all the TVs available, so you can keep up with every game that you got money on and you looking to win in your big pool with. So go to Mike's Beer Bar today. From Chris Carter and Noah Hiles, thanks so much for joining us here on the Pitt Post-Game Show from the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. We'll be back here in the Peterson Event Center for the Pitt's regular season finale against NC State. Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.